Hello aspirants, welcome to the daily newspaper analysis brought to you by the Shankar IAS Academy. Today's date is 19/7/2024. Displayed here are the list of articles that we are about to discuss today. Today, we are going to discuss some geographical significance of Israel, followed by the details about Finance Commission, and also we will be covering some historical background about the Child Marriage Act in India. So without much delay, let's get started with our discussion. Look at this article. Here we are going to discuss about the geographical perspectives of Israel and its location. Because recently in a Hindi newspaper, there is an article covering about Israel minister's visit to Al-Qasa. So with this, let's start our discussion. Let's start with Israel's border. See, it is surrounded by Lebanon in the north and Mediterranean Sea in the west, Syria and Jordan in the east, and Egypt in the south. See, understanding the countries and the surrounding oceans, rivers becomes very important for UPSC prelims. And more importantly, the countries and the rivers that are surrounding or draining into Mediterranean Sea has been a frequently asked area in UPSC prelims. Please make a note of it. Let us see some of Israel's crossing points. In northeastern Gaza Strip, there is a place called Rez and Rafah along the Egypt and Gaza Strip point. Let us see some of the geographical features. Dead Sea, it has lowest point on the earth and it also known for one of the highest amount of salt content. Negev Desert is located in the southern part of Israel. Galilee is known for its fertile farmland in the north. And the Sea of Galilee, which is the largest freshwater lake in Israel, which is actually fed by Jordan River. Please make a note of it. And now coming to Jordan River, it is actually the eastern border, which has historical and religious significance associated to it. Let us move on to see some important cities in Israel. Jerusalem, it is actually the capital and a holy city for Judaism, Christianity and Islam. And also know that recently US accepted Jerusalem as a part of Israel, which created some geopolitical tensions around it. Nextly, Tel Aviv, which is actually the financial and the technological center of Israel. US also proposed to shift its diplomatic center from Tel Aviv to Jerusalem. So it is probably an important point to ask for in prelims. The next one is Haifa. It is a major port city, also recognized under UNESCO's heritage list. The next one is Beersheba, which is the largest city in Negev and also known for its education and technological development there. The next one is Ashdod, which is a major port along the Mediterranean border and is also known for its industrial developmental activities. That's all about this article regarding the geographical significance of Israel. See, aspirants, understanding the geographical perspective of different locations which are frequently seen in news comes very handy in answering or eliminating options in UPSC prelims. So, with this understanding, let us move on to the next topic for the discussion today. Okay, our next article is going to be about the Finance Commission. See, this type of direct constitutional bodies has been in the question recently in the UPSC mains examination in paper GS2. And also there are questions on Finance Commission in prelims also. So let's get started with our discussion. So what is a Finance Commission? See, as mentioned, it is a constitutional body mentioned under the Article 280. It is mentioned as a quasi-judicial body majorly functioning with respect to financial assessment and devolution of funds in India. It is constituted by President for every 5 years and it consists of 5 members including 1 chairman and 4 members. See, there is no fixed term for Finance Commission firstly. Even the term of 5 years can be also extended. Like 15th Finance Commission, the term has been extended to 6 years. It is very important to know this because these types of questions might become in prelims. See, all the members are actually appointed by the President, but the criteria and the qualification will be prescribed by the members of the parliaments. As of now, the qualifications include the person should be knowledgeable with respect to public affairs, legalities, finance and economics. Now coming to the functions of Finance Commission, see, they are majorly associated with the advisory role and they give the vertical and horizontal distribution of taxation and grants from the center to the states. And they also give opinions and recommendations regarding the argument of consolidated funds of states. And they will also look into the matters referred by the President to the Commission. Recently, in February 2021, the report has been submitted by the N.K. Singh Health Committee, which will be valid till 2026. Now let's see how the devolution has been recommended by the 15th Finance Commission. So presently, it has recommended 40% of tax devolution to the states. But before, in the 14th Finance Commission, it was 42%. But this time it was reduced by 1% because of the reorganization of J&K and new union territories. And here note that the finance provision and the devolution for union territories will be dealt by the Union Home Minister. Now let's see about the grants that has been provided by the 15th Finance Commission. In total, there are around 1.3 lakh crore for sector-specific grants like health, education, agriculture, etc. and 49,599 crore for state-specific grant which include mainly on social needs and infrastructure. And more importantly, 4.3 lakh crore has been devolved for the local bodies. Moving forward, let's see other recommendations of 15th Finance Commission. It has recommended a disaster management cost sharing practice of 90:10 for Northeast and Himalayan states, where the 90% of the cost will be borne by the central government and 10% by the state government, where for others 75% will be borne by the central government and 25% by the states. Moving forward, let us see some other recommendations. See, it has proposed for spending 8% of budgetary needs to health sector, primarily focusing on primary healthcare units. And it also called for modernization fund for defense and internal security, which is the need of the hour. Let's now move on to see the criteria for the devolution of taxes as of now. It is mainly based on income distance, demographic performance, forest and ecology, which has been recently included only in this 15th Finance Commission, and the fiscal efforts by the states. And also in the 15th Finance Commission, the census of 2011 has been considered inside of previous practice of considering 1971 census. Moving on, let us see some challenges associated with Finance Commission functioning. See, like we have already said, it is only associated with advisory role. Nextly, there is a persistent conflict on the distribution of funds between center and state, which is yet to be resolved. And most importantly, the cesses and surcharge remains outside the devolution of funds as prescribed by the Finance Commission. So that's all about this article discussion. With this, let's move on to our next topic for the discussion of the day. Look at this article. It talks about landslides in India. Recently, a disastrous landslide has been reported from a district in Nepal. See, the topic of landslide is very important from UPSC mains and also for prelims perspective. It comes under the syllabus of GS paper 3 under disaster management. So let's get started. So what are landslides? See, they are natural disaster mainly, but there are causes for artificial disasters too. Like mining might trigger landslides in some areas. For example, the landslides majorly in the southern parts of India is majorly attributed to the human interference based landslides, and it is nothing but a sliding of bedrock. It is actually controlled by the slope. The degree of slope directly or indirectly controls the intensity and the vulnerability to landslide. Then the bedrock structure and also the land use pattern and vegetation might also influence the landslide possibility. In addition to this, wind, rainfall, human activity may also add on to the vulnerability of landslide. It may lead to several environmental and economic impacts. So let's see vulnerability zones for landslides in brief. Look at this map. Here the very high vulnerability zone includes Himalayan regions, Andaman and Nicobar Islands, Western Ghats and Nilgiris and Northeast India, except Karbi Anglong region of Assam. And the high hazard zone is nothing but an extension of Himalayan region where it will experience less intense and frequent landslides. It is mainly attributed to the natural causes, but there are also some artificial reasons attributed to this in recent times, like illegal mining, etc. Now moving to the moderate to the low vulnerability zone, it includes Trans-Himalayan region, that is Ladakh and Spiti Valley, and parts of Aravalli also been included in these zones, and the rain shadow regions of Western and Eastern Ghats respectively, and also the Rajasthan, Haryana and Bihar part of the region. With this, let's move towards the consequences of landslides. As we have already discussed, landslide majorly impact the day-to-day activities and also the social life in the community, like roadblocks, railway line destruction, and it also creates blockages in the communication lines, river diversion, and also topsoil erosion, and also loss of life and property at large. With this, let us move on to see what are the mitigation strategies for landslides. See, there should be an area-specific measures like customized agricultural pattern, like instead of going for zooming, that is shifting agriculture in northeast, we can opt for terrace farming, which is nothing but adaptation of farming along the slopes of the mountain. Then we can go for bund construction, afforestation plans, and controlled settlements and high-risk zones will prevent the stress on the land and also reduce the intensity and also frequency of landslides. Let us now see the Disaster Management Authority in brief. See, the Disaster Management Authority comes under the Ministry of Home Affairs, but actually the ex officio chairman will be the Prime Minister of India. The Disaster Management Bill was actually implemented in 2005. See, there are several main questions on landslides and mitigation strategy has been asked in the recent past. So please make a detailed note of it with some examples. With this, let's move on to our next topic for the discussion.
Look at this article. It talks about the structural shift in the economy where India's capital markets is extremely positive. This positive market scenario skyrocketed the availability of equity. This supports not only entrepreneurial ventures but also access to bank loans. This represents a golden era for the entrepreneurs in India. In this context, let us understand about the classification of financial markets in India from our prelims perspective. Firstly, know that a financial market is a system or a place where buyers and sellers trade financial assets such as stocks, bonds, commodities, currencies and derivatives. These markets can be physical like stock exchanges or virtual like electronic trading system. The purpose of a financial market is to set prices for global trade, raise capital and transfer liquidity and risk. Now talking about its classification, firstly, the money market is the trade in short-term debt. It is a constant flow of cash between governments, corporations, banks and financial institutions, borrowing and lending for a term as short as overnight and no longer than a year. On the other hand, the capital market encompasses the trade in long-term assets, that is, in securities with maturities greater than 1 year. This includes equity, stock market and debt, that is bond market. It is usually bought by financial institutions, professional brokers and individual investors. And for those who don't know the difference between debt and equity, let us see in brief. When a company issues bond, that is debt, it borrows money from the investors. The company agrees to pay back the borrowed money, that is the principal, on a specific date, that is the maturity date, and also to make periodic interest payments, that is coupons, until the bond matures. On the other hand, when a company issues shares of its stock, it means the company is selling particular share of ownership in a company to investors. So whomsoever buy the stock will become shareholders. That is, they became a partial owner of the company and may receive dividends, that is, a portion of a company's profits. And it is also important to know that they also have some voting rights on certain corporate decisions. See, this is the major difference between debt and equity. And also in India, the money market consists of Reserve Bank of India, scheduled commercial banks, microfinance institution, regional cooperative banks and some non-banking financial institutions like LIC, UTI, etc. And only debt instruments are sold in the money markets. Let us see some examples of the debt instruments used in the money market in India. It includes treasury bills or T-bills. See, T-bills are the short-term government securities which are actually issued by Reserve Bank of India on the behalf of Government of India. They are issued in 3 tenures, that is 91 days, 182 days and 364 days. T-bills are used to meet short-term liquidity requirements of the government. Nextly, there is commercial papers. See, a commercial paper is an unsecured short-term promissory note issued by corporation to finance their short-term liabilities. They have a maturity ranging from 7 days up to 1 year. Companies with high credit rating can issue commercial papers and they are usually issued at a discount to the face value. Nextly, the certificate of deposits. They are the time deposits issued by scheduled commercial banks and selected financial institutions. Their maturity typically ranges from 7 days to 1 year for a bank and up to 3 years for a financial institution. The next one is repurchase agreement, which is also known as repo. See, it involves the sale of security with an agreement to repurchase them later at a predetermined price. They have very short-term maturity period, often a overnight or up to 14-day period. They are used by RBI as a tool for managing liquidity in the banking system. This is all about money market and the debt instruments issued in it. Now let us move on to see the capital market. See, unlike money market, in capital market, both debt and equity can be issued. Some of the instruments issued in capital market include shares, bonds, debentures, derivatives, mutual funds, reverse repo, exchange traded funds, that is ETF, hedge fund, venture capital funds, angel investors, alternative financial investments, foreign portfolio investments and qualified foreign investors. Let us now move on to see some important ones. Here, debenture is a type of debt instrument that is not secured by the physical assets or collateral. They are backed only by the general creditworthiness and the reputation of the issuer. Both corporations and governments frequently issue this type of bond to secure capital. Nextly, the derivative. The derivative is a financial security with a value that is derived from an underlying asset or a group of assets. The most common underlying assets include stocks, bonds, commodities, currencies, interest rates, and market indices. Finally, a mutual fund. See, it is a type of financial vehicle made up of a pool of money collected from many investors to invest in securities such as stocks, bonds, money market instruments, and other assets. So that's all about the discussion regarding the capital market and the money market. With this, let's move to our next topic for the discussion. Look at this article. It states that Assam model helps to slash child marriage by 81%. In this backdrop, let us see some historical background and also the evolution with respect to child marriage acts in India. So let's start our discussion. See, in an independent nation like India, 3 girls are forced to child marriage every 3 minutes, but only 3 cases are registered every day. This shocking statistics was given by India's Child Protection Research Team based on the data given by a National Crime Records Bureau. Recent reports show that there is a striking 81% drop in the child marriage in the state of Assam. The main reason for the decline was the strict law enforcement by the state. It also says that delayed trial and the poor conviction rate are the main villains against ending the child marriage. There are several reasons for child marriages in India. Reasons like poverty, illiteracy, dowry, high wedding cost, and also the child marriage, which is being very widely socially accepted norm, etc., are few of the more cited reasons for child marriage, which is highly prevalent over the years. Moving forward, let us see some effects of child marriage. Consequences like teenage pregnancy, risk to young mothers and the children, increased risk of violence and abuse, and it also violates children's right to nutrition, education, and also protection. And more importantly, the major challenge of child marriage has been it cuts off the opportunities of any kind of personal growth. Moving ahead, let us see the evolution of Child Marriage Act in India. See, in India, the practice of child marriage was first legally prohibited in 1929 through the Child Marriage Restraint Act of 1929. According to the 1929 Act, marriage of girls below the age of 14 years and boys below the age of 18 years was prohibited. Then in 1978 amendment, the female minimum age was increased to 18 and 21 to males respectively. Then in the Act of 2006, that is the Prohibition of Child Marriage Act, which actually replaced the 1929 Act with the same minimum age limits. Now recently, the Prohibition of Child Marriage Amendment Bill 2021 was being introduced in the Parliament to raise the age of marriage of women to 21. Moving on, let us see some initiatives taken by the government. Under the Prohibition of Child Marriage Act 2006, appointment of Child Marriage Prohibition Officer was created, who majorly focuses on creating awareness about the law and its simplification. Secondly, the crime against women and children comes under a state subject, so the state government can deal with it holistically. Thirdly, the schemes like Beti Bachao and Beti Padhao scheme by the Ministry of Women and Child Development mainly aims to ensure survival and protection of girl child primarily. Then, the National Commission for the Protection of Girls' Rights has been created to address this issue in a holistic manner. It has also led to the creation of a Child Helpline, that is 1089 telephone emergency number for the outreach service for the children in crisis. See, understanding the social background and historical perspectives will come very handy in understanding and answering the prelims and mains question, especially in the society part of GS1 and also in GS2 part in mains. See, ending child marriage can improve maternal and infant mortality rate. Female labor force participation and gender equality can also be consequently impacted. Stricter law enforcement, like in the case of Assam model, and a huge awareness can make a big difference to achieve women empowerment. So that's all about this article. With this, let's move on to our next topic for the discussion. Look at this article. This news article is written in the backdrop of recently released RBI bulletin. The article titled "The State of Economy" reiterated that much lot needed to be done to contain inflation in the economy. So with this backdrop, let us understand certain terms related to inflation from our prelims perspective. First, let us understand what is inflation. See, inflation means a persistent rise in the price level of general goods and services. For example, let us take, say 10 years back when we were able to buy 5 balls with 100 rupees. But now with the same 100 rupees, you can buy just 2 balls. We can observe that previously the cost of 1 ball was only 20 rupees. But now there is an increase in the price of a ball, that is around 50 rupees. This is one of the main feature of inflation, that is the general rise in the price level of a good and service. We can also observe that there is a decrease in the purchasing power of money, because previously you can buy 5 balls with the same 100 rupees note, but now you can buy just 2 balls. It shows how the value of money has been depreciating over the year. Moving on, let us talk about some causes of inflation. See, there are many potential causes of inflation like cost push inflation, demand pull inflation, built-in inflation, expansionary monetary and fiscal policy, and monetary devaluation. Among these, cost push and demand pull inflation are very important, has been frequently asked in our exams in both prelims and mains. So let us see about them briefly. See, whenever in an economy demand increases and the supply is constant, the price of the goods will eventually increase and the purchasing power will decrease. In other words, when there is a strong consumer demand for a product or a service, the demand pull inflation will kicks in. On the other hand, the cost push inflation occurs when the price rise is actually because of the production cost increase, such as the increase in the raw material cost or the wage cost. See, the demand for a good is unchanged while the supply of goods decline due to the higher cost of production. As a result, the added cost of production are passed onto the consumers in the form of higher prices for the finished goods. This type of inflation is known as cost push inflation. With this, we have came to one holistic understanding of what is inflation and cost push inflation and demand pull inflation respectively. See, the topic of inflation has been a most favorite area with respect to UPSC prelims, and also questions regarding tackling or the ways to overcome inflation has been an area of focus for UPSC mains, particularly in GS paper 3. So please make a note of the topic inflation. So with this, we have come to the end of today's newspaper discussion. With this, let us move on to our next section, that is prelims practice questions.
Look at our first question. Which of the following statement is or correct regarding the regulation of financial markets in India? Statement 1. The Reserve Bank of India manages the money market. The Security and the Exchange Board of India manages the capital market. Both the money market and capital markets are regulated by the Ministry of Finance. Select the correct answer using the code given below. 1 only, 2 only, both 1 and 2, 1, 2, 1, 3. The correct answer is option C, 1 and 2 only. See, the Ministry of Finance plays a major role in shaping financial policies and overseeing the overall financial system. It does not directly regulate the day-to-day operations of money market or the capital market. Instead, it sets the framework within which RBI and SEBI operates. So the Ministry of Finance is not directly responsible for managing the money market or capital market in India. Look at our next question. Consider the following statement and choose the correct code given below. Statement 1. Child Marriage Restraint Act 1929 fixed the marriageable age for girls at 14 and for boys at 18. Statement 2. Right to marry becomes a fundamental right under the Article 21. Choose the correct option given below. Only the statement 1 is correct. Both statements are correct. Only statement 2 is correct. Neither the statement 1 nor the statement 2 is correct. So the correct answer is both statements are correct. Let's move on to the next question. Consider the following statements and choose the correct code given below. Statement 1. The stagflation obeys Phillips curve. Statement 2. In Phillips curve, the inflation is inversely proportional to unemployment. Option A. Only statement 1 is correct. Option B. Both statements are correct. Option C. Only the statement 2 is correct. Option D. Neither statement 1 nor the statement 2 is correct. The correct answer is option C. Only the statement 2 is correct, because the stagflation does not obey Phillips curve. With this, we have come to the end of today's prelims practice questions. This brings us to the end of today's discussion. Displayed here is the today's mains practice question. Interested aspirants can write it in the comment section below. So if you like this video, please hit like, share and comment, and subscribe to Shankar IAS Academy YouTube channel. Thank you.